Do you enjoy long matches of Magic? Do you want to use every minute of the round clock? I've got the deck for you. And by the way, recommended round is round 4 versus Painter. We're both nearly going to time. Get in there, we're grinding. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we are running back Esper Value. Now, Michael has asked me to do this because the first time that we played this deck, despite the fact that I fell in love with this deck, our results were just not good. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we got paired against a bunch of like really fast combo or something and didn't play a lot of Magic. So in this post-ban world, we're going to update the deck a little bit and see how it goes. This is easily the best Legacy Ketramose deck that I have played. You're pretty good at just naturally exiling cards while playing Magic. You're not having to jump through a lot of hoops and play bad cards to enable Ketramose. You're just playing good stuff here. The Oculus is a very powerful card if it is not removed immediately, and it sends a ton of stuff to exile. You have a few different fair value plans, with Phelia threatening to blink Overlord of the Balemurk in the early game, and in the late game, Overlord of the Balemurk repeatedly returning Solitudes can be a major pain in the butt for your opponent. The biggest change to this deck list here is that Meddling Mage is coming in. This is a card that I really like a lot in a show and tell metagame. It is permanent based rather than stack based, and when people are messing around with Mistvale Village to make their show and tells uncounterable, you just stop them from casting the show and tell in the first place. And when this card is good, oh buddy, is it good. With that being said here, I think we're just going to hop directly into matches. Folks, should you need some cards, check out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. MagicCon Vegas is coming up this summer, and you're going to want to have all your sweet cards for that event. Promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order. You could place it in advance and have it delivered to your doorstep, or you could order and pick it up on site, which is super convenient as well. Skip the line, skip hunting around for your cards. I don't know if you've ever tried to locate a common or an uncommon in an event hall. It's tough. Let TOA do it for you. With that being said, let's battle. Opening hand seems fine here. We can keep this one. I'm good with that. We've got a Thoughtseize for turn 1, and then we can Brainstorm Fetch afterwards. The Solitude's not great. The extra land here is perhaps unnecessary. The Surveil land might end up going back into the deck. Let's get a feel for what my opponent is playing. Well, we figured it out. This is awkward. This Brainstorm's very bad right now. Also, my opponent might take it. Unless I take their Thoughtseize. I am not equipped to mess with this turn 1 Tamiyo here. I am going to take that. I think a Tamiyo backed by 2 Dazes is going to be a lot to deal with. My opponent's going to take my Brainstorm, and I'm not going to be happy about... Oh, no. Son of a bitch. Alright. Emperor of Bones is super dazable right now. I can't Solitude. Thoughtseize comes along in a minute. Kinda unhappy here. Could be an Orcish Bowmaster's deck. Swords is cool. So I would like to hide Swords on top of my deck. I would also like to hide Emperor of Bones. This is another way that I can answer Tamiyo. I think I'm going to put this back in deck. I can fetch it out later. I can hide Emperor of Bones. I'm gonna hide Swords. I guess I could hide Caracas. I don't really want to fart around with Caracas on Tamiyo. It's very easy for that to just transform and then become awkward. There is a Surveil land as follow-up, junking a Force of Will. I'm going to go ahead and draw my Swords. If I play Emperor of Bones, it could in theory be double dazed. I can wait a turn on that. The sooner this comes down, the less of a chance my opponent can stick something like Murktide Regent, though. I think I'm going to go ahead and fetch. Pick up a Scrubland for variety. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then pass the turn. I can, again, try to be greedier with the Tamiyo. I don't know that that is a good idea. This is annoying, but not the end of the world. We at least know the dazes are there, so I can play around them. I guess we've seen Misty there. 3-6. I could get double dazed here, so I want to wait a turn on this. I can surveil land in the meantime. Fetching? That is fetching prior to brainstorming. I guess there was still a card known from Ponder last turn. Wasteland. Sure, that's fine. I'll fetch. My opponent could, again, have double daze still. I play around it. That wasn't a fetch afterwards. I think I'm going to go ahead and play around it. This just guarantees that I have my powerful spell around known cards. And my opponent could bounce it, and then hopefully I just end up hardcasting a Solitude. This is fine. A new Brainstorm. Oh no. That's an Archon of Cruelty to the yard. Yeah, that is happening. So now I probably need to Solitude this away. This is just not bigger than Archon. So now if my opponent has Daze, it's actually very awkward for me. There is a decent chance that my opponent has Daze on top of their library right now, though. Ooh, that plays around Dazes. I am into that. I can do that around double Daze. Not around Force of Will, though. So now I can't Solitude, and I'm going to discard Solitude. Oh, that's frustrating. We played around known cards patiently, and then our opponent wasn't actually a mid-range deck. They were a combo deck. And so I'm just going to die in 2 turns to Archon of Cruelty, and I don't get to keep the Solitude. That otherwise would be very good. I'm at 3. Delta. Dead. Disappointing. So the frustrating thing here is that I still have to have all my spot removal and stuff to just respect the fair stuff that my opponent is capable of doing. I absolutely want these, and then there is some question of how much of the rest of this stuff I want. I didn't have it that game, but I in theory have decent card advantage with Overlord and Phelia and Ketramose. Did not pan out this time. I think Meddling Mage on Reanimate is probably too far here. I think there's just going to be too many fair things that my opponent can do that are a pain in the butt. Force of Negation will miss creatures like Goyf and Amio. Leylines are good against some pivots. Some of the Goyfs count my graveyard, not just theirs. And I'm going to put a bunch of different types into my graveyard relatively aggressively. I'm not quite sure where that leaves me. I don't really want to 2-for-1 myself using Solitude as a removal spell, but like this is a great endgame engine. I might turn a couple of Phelias into these and call that good? I think I have fine main deck tools here. It just didn't pan out this specific game. My hand's fine here. I'm going to keep this in hand for as long as possible to be a pitch card to Solitude. And that might end up costing me 3 life. Hopefully that does not matter. Sewers keeping their card. I'm going to go ahead and surveil here. A Delta. It's fine to get extra lands. My opponent is a Daze deck. I think I'll take it. I think I am going to hold up Brainstorm and Emperor of Bones here. Opposing Orcish Bowmasters would be a real pain in the butt, though. I could play Phelia here, and it would be fine. I think I'm going to do it. I am a little scared to just cast Brainstorm immediately and be forced to use Solitude. All right, opponent is responding, and is just going to Edict me. That's fine. I didn't super care about this card anyway. And I have another one. The opportunity presents itself for that to be good. I think I would like to Brainstorm here while Orcish Bowmasters is not available to my opponent. These cards all kind of feel medium. I'm not really in love with these. This is a 2-for-1, and this card I only wanted to keep around for Solitude. I think I'm just going to clear those. Grab a Tundra. Sees my opponent, and then Ponder to make an appropriate plan. Emperor of Bones taking their Archon of Cruelty is very, very funny. Don't think it's wise to do that. I'm going to just take a Brainstorm here. And then I will Ponder. I think I can do better than that. I would say that's better. So there's Wasteland. My opponent can take out my Underground Sea, but I have another black source, so that's not actually that concerning. And then I will end up trading with this Drown in the Loch at some point. I would probably prefer to do that on my opponent's end step. So I think I'm going to plan on playing Phelia end of turn, potentially trading with Drown in the Loch, and then trying to resolve Teferi or Emperor of Bones. There's a Ponder, which again still leaves up Drown in the Loch. There's a Tamiyo, which is flippable. My opponent does not have Drown in the Loch available, though. I'm going to cast Phelia. Ooh. So my opponent has Force of Will. Against Force of Will, I would like to cast multiple cards. I can cast a fairy and definitely take that Force of Will out of their hand. I think I'm into casting Emperor of Bones and trying to use that as a bait spell for the Force of Will. Did not work. So now I'm going to get that Force of Will. I'm going to cast this with Impending. Got the Drown in the Loch and the Force of Will there. So now I'm going to go to combat. I am going to take out Overlord so that my opponent cannot reanimate it. I'm going to attack with Phelia and then just blink a Tamiyo out of the way and then hit my opponent for 2. My opponent can turn Tamiyo into a Planeswalker if they want, but I am threatening a very annoying activation here. My opponent is casting their Brainstorm with Tamiyo not in play intentionally, and then Tamiyo comes back. Land from my opponent can presumably let them shuffle away this Archon. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. You get your Clue, and my opponent can fetch and crack a Clue. That's a go for the throat. Taking out Emperor of Bones, then Clue token. Sure. Ooh, I like this a lot. Yeah, man. I'm going to go ahead and take creatures out of my graveyard for their reanimates. Then I will attack with Phelia. I will just blink my creature here so I can get a +1/+1 counter. And then I get to start manifesting Dread. Fairy, you're a creature now. Good job. And now on my next turn, I can use Teferi to bounce a creature out of play or shut off my opponent's future counter spells. All right, Tamiyo is coming in. We'll see if my opponent is going to Brainstorm now or whatever. Crack a Clue. Yeah, this is fine. Have your Planeswalker. I'm not sure that you're going to be particularly good at defending that from 3 different creatures here with 1 black mana, 2 mana available. Especially since I get to just play Teferi pre-combat. And I get to see what the trick is ahead of time. It's no trick. Am I just drawing a card? Probably not. It's a little awkward because I want to go through this combat. Yeah, so I think I am not. This is 4 at Tamiyo. Then these 2 can go at your face. Phelia trigger is not going to exile anything this turn. Opponent goes to 10. Then I'm just going to go ahead and Teferi plus here. Next turn, I will likely just Teferi minus, draw a card, and then blink with Phelia. Ketramose, you say? Don't mind if I do. This game is going significantly better than last game, and we do have enough cards in exile that I could just turn this into a creature, and this can be done at any time. That went significantly better than last time. We still haven't seen very many creatures from my opponent. If I had seen more creatures, say we had seen Delvers and Netherglyphs, then pest control becomes something that is attractive, but we just haven't. I still think the tools that I'm bringing to the table are fine. Maybe I could take Ketramose out and just keep Phelia. Ketramose is something that my opponent, I suppose, could reanimate. And it could be really annoying, but I guess, the same is true of this, the same is true of this. Maybe on the draw, I just want a few more things that eat in early days. This hand seems fine. I don't have fast untapped blue mana, which can be a little annoying if Wasteland gets involved, but hopefully Thoughtseize and Overlord get me through the early turns here. Opponent is fetching. Probably means either Brainstorm or Daze is happening. It is Entomb. Putting Archon in graveyard. 2 reanimates. 2 reanimates. Cool. I also don't have a white card to immediately pair with this. I hopefully will find one next turn. I'm going to take a reanimate here. I think it's too easy for the second reanimate to just absolutely obliterate me. Yep. So this is happening. I think I am getting rid of the Oculus. It is just my least castable card right now. And I just took a reanimate. That was my opponent's draw, meaning that they can Tamiyo this turn, which is really annoying. Okay, there's a white card. I'm going to get wastelanded. That's just happening. Let's Solitude pitching Phelia. Take out Archon of Cruelty. Actually, do I just Emperor of Bones? Emperor of Bones is pretty good here. I think I'm going to do this and immediately remove Solitude from my graveyard so my opponent can't reanimate it if they find yet another reanimate. And then on my turn, I can hopefully hit an untapped land to just take out Tamiyo as well before Tamiyo becomes a problem. All right. That is a great top deck for my opponent. And they're going to start doing this clue thing. So now I don't have lands to do cool stuff. Am I fine drawing that? I'm going to say I'm fine drawing that. That lets me take care of Tamiyo next turn, at least in theory, and then play Overlord, get back, damn it, an Oculus or an Emperor of Bones. So the downside there is if my opponent rips another Wasteland, then I am not on a land for the next turn. I'll go ahead and go to their upkeep and then cast this. Or if they draw a clue here and tap out, I'm just going to stop this before it becomes more of a problem. Get out. But reanimate here is now a pretty big problem. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Ponders are fine. Misty? That's annoying. This was my way to really get back into the game. So now we're on draw go, where my opponent has an extra clue. Nothing there. Could get dazed. I don't know that I'm really in the position to do anything about that. I need 2 different colors here, and I think I need both. The Emperor. I'm in play. I'm going to take out the card that I would be most afraid of my opponent reanimating, which is probably the Overlord. And then I think my opponent is going to end up removing this creature. This sat on the stack for too long. My opponent's got something that interacts with this. All right, they're just going to petty theft it back to hand. Sure. That's just another pass the turn. Emperor, please. Now, still most afraid of my opponent having one of these. I am just at 14 life already. Self-damage is real. Sewers. Bowmasters to graveyard there. Bowmasters seems like a reasonable card. There is a Thoughtseize. I lose my swords, which would let me answer cards like Bowmasters. Phelia can't cast. I'm going to go ahead and go to combat. I think I'm going to exile my Solitude here. I don't think I'm going to adapt immediately, though. I think I am just going to swing in for 2 and hold up the ability to put in a Solitude. There's an Orcish Bowmasters pinging me. I think while the getting is good, I'm going to go ahead and put my +1/+1 counters on here now. Put a Solitude into play. Junk Bowmasters. This keeps a body on the battlefield. This Orc army token can't get through if my opponent is trying to sneak something like a Kaito in. This does mean that I am not taking out something like a reanimated creature immediately. Fetch. Hey, it is exactly what I was talking about. So my opponent's going to stun my Emperor of Bones. Then at end of turn, I sacrifice this Solitude. That is literally 1 card too late. So at beginning of combat here, I'm going to get rid of the best reanimation target and then pass. This situation is not great for me. If I trade 2 for 1 with Kaito, with some card drawn off of Kaito, my opponent still just has a Planeswalker, and I am essentially trading 2 cards for 1 Planeswalker activation. Opponent junks Force of Will, which is honestly a fine card for them at this stage. Solitude is not what I want here against the X-Proof Kaito. So that is frustrating. I have no castable cards right now. The Emperor can take a Bowmasters out of graveyard. Then I'll pass the turn. My opponent can cast a Brazen Borrower, which I need to answer with one of these. Okay, they're going to bounce that to my hand. I just counter that so they can't cast the creature side of this. So that costs me Teferi. Oh, that was a separate one. I still don't regret it. But I'm taking, what, 7? Cool. The difference between getting a card advantage engine online and not having one is insane. Alright, I'm taking 6 instead, and my opponent's leaving this back. Then we get the Kaito activation, and I think I'm dead. Opponent junked a Wasteland there. So I can block a Kaito, die to Brazen Borrower in the air. We are dead. GG's. And as a reminder, this video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Every single deck list that I ever play on this channel ends up on my Moxfield. Moxfield is great. You can sort all of your stuff by folders. You have the ability to control how you are viewing these cards. And let me tell you, when you play as many decks as I do, having a repository of all of the really cool things that you've done in one place so that you can search and find, hey, when did I play that Chatterfang deck? What did that deck look like? Is really, really useful. So check them out. Okay, I'm going to keep this hand. There's some things to think about. Never mind, there's nothing to think about. We're just going to die on turn 1. Blooming Marsh. I'm not dead on turn 1. 2 of these fuckers. All right. I'm assuming no Wasteland here. So my plan is cast a Brainstorm, get through these triggers, and then be able to Force of Will afterwards. I am not sure exactly what's happening yet, but it is unquestionably unfair. 3 mana. Manamorphose. That's fine. Black. What are we doing? Doomsday's black. There's some Cruel Bargain and Necrodominance style things. So these are going to clear the Chancellor triggers. We're not going to pay for that. And then now that those triggers are gone, we're going to go ahead and Force of Will. So I can Brainstorm to try to find another Force of Will. I think I am better off waiting a turn and just casting the Overlord here and getting that going. I guess I could hit another Thoughtseize though, and that could be a big deal. We're rewarded by hitting a new Force of Will. I think at this point, this card is not black. Sorry, this card is not blue. It doesn't pitch to things, so it goes back. And then I'm just going to cast this, put the spell that I probably want to cast next turn on top of my library. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I guess I'm not casting that next turn. I still think I'm going to put that on top. And I will probably draw it, but I could get rid of it. Green for Wild Cantor. You got it. I think I am fine drawing the Oculus. I could have kept Oculus in hand, gotten rid of a different blue card, Surveil land, 100% of the time putting it in graveyard. I think it's fine to just wait a turn. Wild Cantor getting saucy? Getting saucy. That's fine, it works. I think I'm going to fetch, Surveil. Swords I don't think I need. 5 cards in graveyard. Cast Brainstorm just to smooth things out here. Swords I don't think I need. Ketramose is interesting, but is not blue. Fetch. And I'll just get Scrubland for... Oh, no, that's not blue. Let's do this. I think I am good with casting a Ponder. I don't like that I made my land drop prior to doing that. Teferi's cool. That just means my opponent can't say no to Force of Will. I'm in. So we're just going to play Teferi, and we can indefinitely plus versus Wild Cantor. I minus? I guess I can minus. My opponent could sacrifice this to deny the card draw. Sure. So now I just Teferi plus, play the Oculus, leaving up the white mana. The off chance that that's relevant. Drop Oculus, and pass. Manifest Dread. I'll take a Ketramose. Conveniently 7 cards in exile here. Alright, we're just done. Force of Will confirmed good. Meddling Mage, fine. Consigned to Memory, fine. Force of Negation, fine. I wonder if my opponent's going to do something wonky like sideboard into Reanimator. I probably need to keep some of Swords or Solitude in the deck in respect of just single card pivots like Goyf. I think I'm going to get rid of Swords, though. With Swords gone, I'm less likely to exile things on my own turn. That probably means Ketramose is worse, and Ketramose also is not blue for pitching to these cards. At that point, I've cut a lot of white cards, and the Solitudes do get worse. I am fine. Those exist so that I can hard cast them in the mid-game, more so than anything else. Do I want something like Pest Control to take out artifact mana that my opponent passes the turn with? Oh, we are serum powdering a hand away over there. That hand was just entirely mana. We're serum powdering away another hand, and that is a hand that has 2 copies of Necrodominance in it. I think I am comfortable keeping a Force of Negation hand that also has Consigned to Memory. My opponent has revealed 2 copies of Chancellor of the NX. So hopefully they can't go off on turn 1, because I can't break it this time. Alright, they cannot go off on turn 1. So I'm going to end up breaking this with a Brainstorm. So I'll just go ahead and pass the turn here. I'm going to get rid of the Exile Zone. And since there's 2 of these in exile here, I am totally fine just throwing away a Brainstorm to clear these triggers. Then I can start doing stuff like this on my own turn. My opponent will discard a Chancellor here. I think I am fine holding up mana for this next turn. And then I can Brainstorm into Surveil Land. Yes. There's a Necro. I am going to Force of Negation. It's not pitching Brainstorm. Might be Consign here. A Consign exists to stifle this if it hits play. I'm going to pitch Consign. My opponent could have things like Pact of Negation that go on top of this. Alright, so now I think I'm going to Surveil Land and then Brainstorm. Grab Meticulous Archive, junk a land. This lets my Brainstorm get 1 deeper, looking for one of my remaining counter spells, which I do not find. So I am now F6'd. I can do that differently where I can stop the trigger this turn, but without a Teferi or something to take it out of play, that's not actually leaving me in an awesome spot for the following turn. So now we will see if my opponent's deck loses to itself, which this deck does sometimes. There's another Pact for a Spirit Guide. You need Manamorphose for blue. There's Wild Cantor off another Summoner's Pact. There's Manamorphose. So now my opponent has access to their primary colors, and we are in Stormcount of lethal range. There's a Valakut Awakening for my opponent to get to the cards that they actually need. Doing so with 12 cards. Born Upon a Wind gives flash. And there's the Tendrils. That'll do. Note here, for Consigned to Memory can stop a Storm trigger, but at the point where my opponent has their entire deck in hand, something like a Pact of Negation is just going to stop my Consigned to Memory from actually doing the thing that I want it to do. So the Consign is fine when I have something else to pair with it, which I just did not this time. So we'll go to a game 3. Didn't really see a pivot plan here. So I can maybe not play Solitude here. I don't have more blue things to pitch to blue cards to bring in. This only stops something like a Cabal Ritual. Let's do this. And Miser's Pest Control, it has Cycling. This is a medium opening hand. If my opponent opens on Chancellor specifically, then this does not get to do the thing that I want my deck to do. If they don't have Chancellor specifically, there's a decent chance that I Thoughtseize them, take a critical card, they're likely to have one, and then I try to ponder and find another one. I'm going to say this is underwhelming, but keepable. There is Serum Powder. That is Tendrils of Agony in exile. And no Chancellor. I imagine there's some secondary win condition like a Thassa's Oracle in there. I don't think I can play this land this turn. What if this was Scrubland? Then my Ponder is less good next turn. I don't think I can play this land this turn. There's like things like Meddling Mage to think about. That is 2 copies of Necro Dominance there. Oh, that is frustrating. So I can't take Necro Dominance here. I have to take Dark Ritual. Oh, that's frustrating. And I am not going to present a fast clock, so my opponent can go Blooming Marsh, duress this Ponder, and then potentially go off the following turn. Yep. So I would like to find Pest Control to kill Lotus Petal. I'd like to find Meddling Mage off an Overlord. Is mill 4, return 1. Okay. All right, Overlord. I think I am roughly at like 60% odds to die. Yeah. I will return a card. I'm going to get Teferi back. Tick down Overlord. My opponent drew the mana source. I die. So there's the Necro. And then opponent gets to draw 19 cards. And we'll see if they lose to their own deck. At 1. Summoner's Pact. Anamorphose gets blue. And also black. Yeah. There's the Born Upon a Wind, which probably means that I die. I'm going to go ahead and skip to that. And another couple minutes later, we get the Lethal Tendrils on the stack. I will concede there. GG's. Okay, we have some reasonable looking Magic the Gathering cards here. The biggest issue is that if I have to Force of Will pitching Ponder, I don't have the ability to sculpt a game plan here. And I am worried that this is going to become another one of those games where I don't get a card advantage engine online, and then I just kind of eventually fizzle out and die. Let's ponder. Oculus? 1, 2, 3 easy cards in graveyard. I don't think we're there. I'd rather find like an Overlord or something right now. Our opponent will probably pick up an end of turn Surveil land. Yes. And they're going to keep it. Marsh Flats. Getting more black mana. You're looking like a combo over there. Maybe Doomsday. I mean, I'm going to force, but if my opponent has a Daze or something here, this is pretty bad. If I don't choose to force right now, I might not get another opportunity. My opponent could just build a slower Cavern of Souls Thassa's Oracle line that ends up wrecking me. All right, let's take a quick peek at what's in exile, just kind of see if there's any spice here. Ooh, there is some spice. Voice of Victory. Man, I really don't like that being in my opponent's deck. To be clear, I think it is a brilliant deck building. But that means that I have to be thinking about keeping in my fucking Swords to Plowshares versus Doomsday. Ugh. Come on, relevant spell. It's not nothing. Unfortunately, the really good cards are probably in deck. Yeah. Take Ponder. Fuck. That was Daze and Double Force. So having taken Ponder, I might be able to draw Teferi. No, Teferi gets countered by Force of Will. I might have slowed my opponent down. I'm not pressuring them quickly enough to get a kill. I cast Phelia. I don't have Solitude anymore for if my opponent goes for a kill before their deck is actually empty. That is what it is. I probably have to cast Phelia. Have a snowball's chance at doing something synergistic. No end of turn plays. Cavern of Souls is coming. End of turn dog. An opponent allows it to resolve. That is not what I want to hit here. Sorry, this is a blue deck. I was told there would be cantrips. Those Phelia trigger does nothing. This is not pressuring my opponent quickly enough. We did not bait out Force of Will. It's pretty hard for me to win from here. Cycle Street Wraith. There's the Cavern. Cycle Edge of Autumn. There's now no cards remaining in deck, meaning that I can't bounce Phelia, pitch cast it to Solitude, and remove this for a win. The Force of Will would stop that anyway. My opponent's got enough life to Force of Will. That is unfortunate. GG's. Or Doomsday. Or Thassa's Oracle. Oh, now I just got a Consign to Memory stuck on screen. Fantastic. Thank you, Magic Online. How about we move a Consign to Memory up there and we get that back? No? Cool. Now I can't sideboard. I literally cannot see the remainder of this sideboard. Can I select all and drag these over here? No. Cool. I don't think I can reboot Magic Online in time to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of one of Swords to Plowshares or Solitude. I think I have to keep the other for Voice of Victory. Swords to Plowshares is mana efficient. Solitude is free. Solitude is findable via Overlord. Solitude requires a pitch card, though. I think I'm going to get rid of Solitude. Oh, I can't even hit my fucking submit button. God damn it. All right, 45 seconds. I need to start re-sideboarding from scratch here. Yes. No. Slow. Not blue. This brainstorm has to do some heavy lifting. This is the sort of stuff that I would like to see. I would prefer this to be a ponder. I don't know that I can give up Thoughtseize plus Force of Will versus combo. That can also answer Voice of Victory. I will need white mana to answer it, but there is a lot to like about this hand. So let's Thoughtseize. My opponent is on 6. I will take a Doomsday here. And we have bought a lot of time. My opponent has Swords to Plowshares, which can be decent against some of the stuff that I have. They're not going to ponder immediately. Love to naturally hit second land here. I don't. I'm willing to go for it. I was willing to keep the hand. Never punished. I like the idea of casting Teferi next turn. I don't need basic planes. And I'm going to put Swords to Plowshares on top of my library. I'm going to put that on top of my library. I am probably going to shuffle away Swords. I am looking to set up these 2 cards in conjunction. I may be able to find a window where I can Phelia, Teferi, Tamiyo. You can have that, and I will now draw Swords to Plowshares. Bam. I know most of my opponent's cards. I'm just going to cast this now. If they have Brainstorm, they can use it inefficiently and not get their shuffle. And it's gone. 4 cards in graveyard, 5 cards in graveyard, Surveil land, 6 cards in graveyard. I can potentially bait out Swords on Phelia, and then hopefully still have this around. Go ahead and cross these out. Land drop 3 from my opponent. Ponder is fine. Maybe I'm not Surveil landing here. I can just cast Phelia. Yeah. Alright, seems like my opponent is going to go for the Swords immediately, which I could just Force a Will, but I don't think I'm going to do. Like, I could use it to set up Phelia Teferi. Oh, yeah. Meddling Mage. We're going to name the Doomsday itself. You could name the Thassa's Oracle here, but I don't want my opponent to cast Doomsday, build a Doomsday pile that has a Swords to Plowshares in it, and then Thassa's Oracle afterwards. So we will just stop the Doomsday directly. So now I have a Meddling Mage protected by Force of Will, and my opponent has used a Swords already. I'm going to just bounce that out of play in the short term. And then if it is still a problem another turn or so down the line, we can think about countering it. Ooh, so that's my opponent going to 0 cards. That's a pretty big statement. I think I counter back and play an Oculus next turn. Use the Oculus token to chump Goyf indefinitely until I actually find an answer to it. Force, pitch, ponder. Boing. Well, I can't cast that immediately on the Goyf. We'll do a little chip damage here. Oh wow, opponent has used a lot of clock. Yes, this is expected. There's a follow-up play. And a Tamiyo. Oh, that's annoying. But this is a 5/5 flyer. Brainstorm is interesting. I'm always doing this, and I think I'm just playing my creature. I think I just need to get this going to brick this, and this simultaneously pseudo answers both of these. Now we start manifesting Dread. I mean, I guess I will put a Meddling Mage into play. Sometimes my opponent doesn't attack, I guess. This keeps creature out of graveyard. That's fine. My opponent finding Swords to Plowshares for this is actually probably my biggest potential problem right now. My opponent didn't shuffle. Yeah. Where are my Goyfs? Alright, so Teferi's going this way. It's combat damage to a player. I can just let this go through if I don't think I need to keep Teferi. This is a 3/4. Double block? Open up Doomsday, close Doomsday. There's already instants in graveyard. Yeah, I think I'm double blocking. That doesn't feel great. Alright, you've got a clue. I've still got Teferi. I will be able to re-Meddling Mage Doomsday. Overlord. Always plus this. I think I'm going to call this good enough for the turn. Shut off Doomsday again. The issue is that my opponent can turn this into a Planeswalker, and then I don't get to bounce that Planeswalker out of play with Teferi. I don't have prismatic endings to just 1 mana boop. I don't think I am supposed to be playing Pest Control in this matchup. My opponent's going to draw the card and transform this. And this can minus Return of Swords to Plowshares, clear Meddling Mage. It's a nuisance. I'm going to get to attack for 1 on this, which means if my opponent minuses, it does cost them their Planeswalker. Let's plan this turn. Don't have a pair for Force of Negation right now. I could just hold it to try to answer potential Swords to Plowshares. I think I'm just going to Overlord, though. I'm going to go 1. No. I'm going to go 1 and 2. Play land. Go to combat. Send at Tamiyo for 1. Tamiyo to 3 loyalty. Do I want fresh cards here? Don't think that matters. So now I will Overlord. I'm going to return a Meddling Mage to my hand, which is a blue card for Force of Negation. So now, if my opponent attempts to Swords to Plowshares on their turn, I Force of Negation it. And if they wait until my turn, I can have Force of Negation hard cast available. Okay, found a good line. And I have some Dirtle Teferi minus on Overlord things that I can do. But I think I need to keep Teferi on at least 3 loyalty at all times to keep Goyfs and, what is it? Voice of Resurgence? No, Voice of Plenty. White card, blue players can't have fun on your turn. That spell. There's a new Tamiyo. I accept. Alright, that Tamiyo is just plussing. So now I'm going to minus. I have plenty of reasonable things that I can find. Emperor of Bones. Actually very awkward that I don't have double black right now. Emperor of Bones bringing in an Overlord to hit for 5 is perfectly fine. I'm going to say that that's fine, even if I don't end up doing it immediately. There's also Goyf. Yeah, we're gonna put that on top. Am I okay minusing here? I think I am. Sometimes I can hit a black land, and it is massive. That is a white land. I think I'm holding Force of Negation for disaster mitigation. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and go to combat. I am going to remove swords from my opponent's graveyard. Doomsday from their graveyard. It's not a creature immediately. I think I'm going to remove Doomsday since they have 2 swords. I will send at Tamiyo for 1 and pass. And then hopefully next turn I just make an Overlord or a Goyf or something and get through this nonsense. Creature Tamiyo having 0 power means that I can attack 1/2s into it just fine. You can have your clue. This is a slug. My opponent also needs to pick up their pace of play. They are in danger of timing out because we are likely not in a just cast Doomsday and win situation. Oh, it's a 5 mana card. Okay. You do what you gotta do. Tamiyo targets swords. Thoughtseize. Not bad. I can do that at instant speed on my opponent's turn, and I can always kill Tamiyo here, as long as I don't care about casting Thoughtseize, which I don't think I do. I'm going to go to combat. I'm going to exile Overlord. I'm going to activate Emperor of Bones' ability. Put counters on. Put in an Overlord. It can attack, but it's going to get sacrificed. I will get a Meddling Mage back. Part of me just wants to send this damage directly at my opponent's face, but I think I'm doing fine. Yes. I will get an Oculus. This is fine. Alright, cool. I do have another one of these coming. That's more permanent. I have Force of Negation available. I think that's my answer to Swords to Plowshares. Let's get this show on the road. So then I sacrifice this Overlord. I tick down this Overlord. I will manifest Dread. Phelia is a cool pickup. I think I've got this as long as I don't randomly die this turn. To, like, oh, this is game 2? Okay. As long as I don't die to Thoughtseize into Swords to Plowshares, into Doomsday, into Cycle, and go immediately, we're good there. I can play around that by Meddling Maging and chilling. I can Pest Control if I want to make Flipped Tamiyo less of a problem. I probably just win by timing my opponent out most of the time here. I don't have a ton of white cards for Overlord pitch purposes. My opponent has enough random creatures that they might try to win the game with it. I think I want more Solitudes than what I have. Kind of awkwardly, I might do something like this. This is low as far as white pitch count goes, but the creatures my opponent is playing don't kill me immediately. My Overlords are worse without Phelia. Maybe that doesn't matter. Yeah, we've got a Force of Will. This is a keep. And my opponent is on 6. Cool, we're not seeing turn 1 Tamiyo. That is great for me personally. Let's drop a fetch land and pass the turn. Opponent's going to have to present a win very quickly. Dunking the land. Land drop 2. And we're chilling. I'm just going to surveil land here. Overlord can try to find a white card to pair with Solitude. I think I'm just going to put it in the graveyard for the purposes of Emperor of Bones. And I think I Brainstorm here rather than Emperor of Bones. I would like to be able to Brainstorm and find Thoughtseize this turn. Very nice. I'm going to put back land. Not that land, actually. That one messes with Tamiyo. Let's put back this land and the white removal spell that I don't have something to pair with currently. Then we can fetch and Thoughtseize. This is an interesting time to Force of Will. I don't think I'm going to do it, but I don't think you would be crazy to do so. Those are a lot of good cards. If my opponent's top card is a Doomsday, my Force of Will answers Doomsday if I take Daze. If my opponent has both a blue card and a Doomsday on top, then things get more awkward. Yeah, I believe I'm taking Daze. It is the best short-term play. And I think that's what matters because of this. Note, if I Force of Willed the Brainstorm that my opponent cast, then nice. Then I potentially get super blown out by Daze. We're just dropping the Emperor here. I'll hold up the land that bounces a Tamiyo that is played out, although I don't think my opponent has that. I don't think it matters too much. I'll take out things that backside of Tamiyo could potentially bring back. Alright, I imagine this is double fetch into Doomsday. No. Voice of Victory. I don't love where this is going. Force of Will, pitch Brainstorm. Okay, cool. That's a Dark Ritual. And a Goyf. Force of Will, Edge of Autumn, the cards that are left. I can't immediately answer that with anything other than Force of Will. I think I'm going to force that. Alright, opponent not even going to try to cycle Edge of Autumn to spike there. That's not bad. So I will Thoughtseize you. I don't need to cast more spells to win. I'm going to take the Edge of Autumn that cycles. right? Right. So then I will fetch, pick up black mana, go to combat, trigger on Overlord, impending here, put on the counters, have this enter, use this ability, pick up Emperor of Bones, go to punchies, swing for 9, trigger this, use this ability, pick up Meddling Mage. Nice. So now, if my opponent top decks Doomsday, they go to 4 life and are dead on board to Emperor of Bones. We have gotten the GGs in chat. What a slug. Solitude is cool. We are going to go ahead and play an Emperor of Bones. We're going to go to combat. Emperor of Bones number 1 is just going to take out a card from my opponent's graveyard. Emperor of Bones number 2 is going to take out the Goyf. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do that so that this can swing in, send in. Oh, I removed too many cards. This is now a 3/4. Didn't leave a creature in graveyard. Yeah. Let's put a creature back in graveyard. That was my bad. All right. GG's. Could have played that last turn tighter. I didn't need to remove the voice. I just removed literally any other card, and then I don't need to do that. Oh well. All right. My 3-color deck does not get to keep a Caracas-only hand. This is fine, though. We probably don't need the final brainstorm there. Opponent says, psyched to mow my lawn and listen to the new Eternal Glory episode. Well, I'm happy for you. Hopefully there's some wise words in there. I am going to play Polluted Delta and pass the turn. My opponent is playing something like a Moon Stompy deck. If they play a Blood Moon this turn and I have access to 2 of my 3 colors, I can consider not countering it. Painter's Servant. You can have that. Now I can pitch Phelia to Force of Will. Haha. We are probably not seeing Game 1 moons from my opponent. I'm just going to get my Surveil land value here. Land drop 3 for Guaranteed Teferi is fine. I am pretty sure that I'm going to cast Phelia, so I'm not going to play the fetch land here. Land drop from my opponent. Yes. So the Nightmare scenario is Grindstone plus Activate plus Lotus Petal backing it up. I don't love that. I would like to counter that. That is just a very good value play from my opponent. Oh, we dodged a Pyroblast. I'm going to take 1 damage here to not expose Phelia to sorcery speed removal. Like Fury. Alright, Blue Dog. Cool. Lightning Bolt. It was instant speed removal. That is happening? That is happening. Next turn I can Teferi bounce and Thoughtseize it away. I think I'm just going to brainstorm. Those are not the clean answers that I want. Solitude stopping a Painter in the short term is perfectly fine. I was really hoping for something like an Overlord here, though. Am I still fine casting a Thoughtseize this turn? Let's say yes. 16. Thoughtseize you. Ooh, hoo, hoo. That is exactly the card I had in mind for why I wanted to Thoughtseize. So, in this position where my opponent is on 5 mana, Fable and Hardcast Fury are some of the scarier things that could happen that my opponent might not have. Ah! Ah! Sorry. I'm fine. I'm fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. I could just die to my opponent finding Grindstone. But the times where I don't die are pretty cool. I'm going to sell this a little more. I'm going to tap that, and then I'm going to undo, like I tapped the wrong color, like I want to leave up Swords to Plowshares. And then we're going to throw this in play. This does eat it to a Pyroblast, but as long as the Pyroblast doesn't happen right now, I get at least the potential to get another creature in play. Ooh. Ketramose is very sick versus the fair stuff that my opponent has going on. Phelia Teferi is very good in the short term. This is better in the long term. I'll go with this one. Please don't kill me. Chunking a mountain. That's a blast. We're going to get the Ketramose out of this. Sure. Block is fine. Block is fine. Individual points of life could end up mattering. Bones. I don't have black. I also don't have 5 mana to manifest this and do things. Emperor of Bones plus Ketramose is good. I think I'm going to Teferi and try to hit a land here. Take you out. Hit a land. Cool. So go Underground Sea. Pick up Emperor of Bones. Exile some random card from my opponent's graveyard. Probably doesn't matter. I am shields down to the combo. We are hoping that my opponent plays fair. And then next turn, I just set up Ketramose, Emperor of Bones, and hopefully just go wild. Ooh, that's not what I want to see. Now I lose the Teferi as well. I will have Ketramose on an empty board. Draw Swords to Plowshares. Draw Teferi. Don't really want to bounce that out of play. I think I'm going to. I don't know that I can let my opponent untap with this ability. It can literally kill me with things like Fury happening. We do not have the land that I want here. Is this being held back to protect Teferi? No. This is a game of life totals. Ancient Tomb activations and such matter. I am very much like leaning into the fact that my opponent's deck probably has 2 Urza Sagas. Or sorry, 2 Grindstones. They are a mid-range deck first, and a combo deck second. Now this sort of thing is great value, right? Like I've used a Teferi bounce on a token, and then I've sent this back to hand. Welder is slightly scary. Can't do both of these. That means I will Brainstorm this turn. Oh, Swords to Plowshares. Nice. Swords is very, very, very good. I might not be using it on my own turn right away, though. Yeah, and yeah. This can be done at any time. I think I am into the Menace here. Need black. And now that this is indestructible, don't have to worry about this dying to Fury and Lightning Bolt and friends. And I think I will outvalue my opponent with Phelia and Overlord and Oculus all coming up. My opponent goes to 4. Giving them a 5th point of life is very real, but the way that I lose is my opponent comboing me this next turn. I think I'm going to do this now and take my extra card, rather than potentially let my opponent weld things in and out of play. I am burning clock, though. I am down a couple of minutes here, so I cannot play 3 games like this at this pace. Shit. That's a nightmare. Wait, it's a destroy, right? Okay, it's a destroy. Could be worse. It makes my whole triple creature situation that I'm in real weird, though. Oops, all fables. So when this enters or dies, for each opponent, choose a non-land permanent that player controls. Destroy one of them chosen at random. Okay. So there's no chance of this hitting my indestructible Ketramose. We're going to go to Punchies. Send in Ketramose. If my opponent does not block this, Ancient Tomb is off, which is not that big of a deal. My opponent could, in theory, still have 6 mana, despite that. If they double block and then put in a Chaos Defiler, I can more safely play stuff. This is probably a very interesting spot for my opponent in terms of decisions. All right, they're going to go ahead and eat it and go to 1. I think I am going to Impending Overlord to have the ability to find Solitude here. A Teferi. Teferi is interesting here. I'm okay picking that up. My creatures aren't doing the most here anyway. Now, I could take the Goblin Welder out of play, or I can just junk a Shaman token. Let's get rid of this Goblin Welder. All right, my opponent's going to put the Chaos Defiler into play. My creature is indestructible, though. They're going to take out my Teferi. I draw my card. Okay. Now, you see where this goes. My Ketramose is really annoying. My Ponder is very strong. My Oculus isn't bad either. Fable next turn copying this is a pain in the butt. I'm not in range of dying this turn. Not even to a lightning bolt. This is a good game of Magic. I am enjoying this. Okay. There's a lot of words on this one. That getting the activated ability of a Goblin Welder could be weird. Okay, that is a conservative attack. I like that a lot. Now a single removal spell does not result in my opponent dying. 3+2 is a thing. I think I am still going to ponder first, though. And this is where finding exile-based removal is just at a premium. Sure. Now, things get a little sketchier. So I will Oculus, lose a life, draw a card, hopefully find a removal spell. Nice. I do it post-combat? I think I do it post-combat. Let my opponent double block here. Yeah. Oh, shit. Should have exiled my Emperor of Bones. My opponent can make treasure tokens. Fuck, I missed that. That's fine. Now they can't make treasure tokens. Junking a Ketramose. No activated ability there, so that's fine. Oh, that's gonna draw me a card. Oh, I see. Going for the +1/+1 counter. Okay. I think I just accept that. I'm gonna go to 8. Combat damage can now go through. I am at 12. I'm going to drop a land. You don't scare me right now. You scare me. This is or dies, though. I think you're still scarier. Phone is now up to 3 life. Ancient Tomb is on again. Bitch Enchanter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 7. I think I can hold that as a potential spell, even if I don't always use it as a spell. Ugh. So I manifest Dread. Solitude comes into play. Fable is Fable. The flying here is really big game. Going to want to make sure to not accidentally kill Chaos Defiler, which probably means not blocking Chaos Defiler. My life total sure is 11, though. Guess I also have another line where I shock in Witch Enchanter, go to 8, so that I can flash in Phelia. But then I could, I guess, potentially die to like Lightning Bolt Pyroblast or something like that, depending on how combat goes. Goblin Engineer. Sure. This can get a weird activated ability for Soul Cauldron. Finding Ensnaring Bridge. My opponent can't put that into play right now. Okay. So I think I take the hit from this and block that. Do I want this to be lightning boltable? Maybe I don't want that to be lightning boltable. Getting activated ability. No, I don't want Solitude there. As gain activated ability of Solitude and of Emperor of Bones is weird. Let's do this. Okay, on Emperor of Bones. That is not unexpected. Just gonna push an extra point of damage there. And I guess I'm hoping the last card is not Lightning Bolt. Alright, damage. Alright, this is beginning of combat on your turn. Oh, we've gotten the GG. Insane game. That's a good one. We both burned clock, though. Alright, pest control here for clearing out tokens and grindstones, Urza Saga tokens, Fable of the Mirrorbreaker tokens. This is really big here. Consign does some stuff here. I have not played against Painter a lot. Consign counters Painter and Grindstone, can stop a critical Urza Saga trigger. I think this is probably going to end up being good enough. These games are long enough that I don't think I need Force of Will. Force of Will versus Thoughtseize, I guess, is a reasonable discussion. Thoughtseize taking my opponent's value cards before they can play them out is pretty good. Once I get established, Force of Will is potentially better, but eats blasts. I think I'm looking at something like this. I can consider just playing Force of Negation for cards like Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. Ooh. This is a reasonable hand of Magic the Gathering cards that I'm going to assume Brainstorm fixes. I am not going to start by playing around Blood Moon. Let's Thoughtseize. I'm not going to play around Blood Moon. I'll take one and Witch Enchanter the other. To cut some corners here on time, I'm going to be F6ing my opponent's turn. That resolves. Oh, nice. That's very, very good. So let's brainstorm Solitudes. Not really at that stage of the game yet. I think I'm going to keep one. White land is what I need immediately. All right. So there is the Blood Moon. I will fetch, grab basic planes. That resolves. I will take one. The next turn I Witch Enchanter that. This turn I'll ponder Oculus. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5. It's a little awkward with that coming. I think I'm just going to shuffle that. A Brainstorm. That's not what I want. Yes. I will take the 1. 14. Yeah. Ooh, Phelia. Phelia Witch Enchanter is a combo. I think I play... there's Lightning Bolt coming, though. Okay. So I will just do this and nuke the Blood Moon. Bam. Now I have Solitude Pitch Phelia available for a disaster scenario. And my opponent might just Lightning Bolt this Witch Enchanter to just, like, be aggro. Yes. That is acceptable. Sure. Yes, that resolves. I will take some damage. I am at 12. Welder is fine. That's more annoying. There's no artifact in graveyard, though. So that's currently fine. Overlord of the Balemurk. I would like my swamp. I would like a tundra. And I would like Painter Servant to not just exist forever. Cool. Opponent is down to 2 cards. I've got 4 cards. I have excellent value prospects. I am at 10. Solitude helps with that. I don't care about that anymore. Sure, that's fine. Go to combat. Send it. Ooh, we're trading. That's fine with me. Oh, I don't have both colors there. Alright, fine. I will impending it. Yes. Get back the Solitude. Make a land drop. I will play Phelia at my opponent's end of turn. I have Brainstorm for an emergency. Engineer. I'll Brainstorm in response to that. These are good cards. I'll put back 2. I don't need to think too much about it. Okay, so that resolves. Getting Chaos Defiler. Now this can only return small artifacts, so that's fine. That is less fine. If my opponent gets the Welder ability, then I care. So I have to Solitude that. So my opponent does not get Chaos Defiler. Okay. Yes. So Ward 1, which I pay for. Now everybody's Goblin Welders, though, which I'm hoping does not end up mattering. So let's impending this one. Yes. Get an Oculus? Let's get an Oculus. I think I first just go to combat, attack in with Phelia, blink out Agatha's Soul Cauldron to reset it, deal my opponent 2, drop an Oculus. Nobody has activated abilities. Cool. And then I do some triggers. And then next turn I attack and get these going. And even if I don't attack and get those going, I think I am just going to be okay. More other Phelia. I guess I shouldn't yield through the turn. I might need to unmanifest this if this one dies. Basic lands are good, yo. Painter's Servant. I guess I should have thought about removing my creatures. Okay, that's fine. So this can't stack up +1/+1 counters. Yes. That's now a 2/4. This is fine, though. I am fine sending in both of these. Yeah. Then Phelia will blink out one of these. My opponent can block the Phelia. That's fine. Then the Overlord is going to come back as a 5/5. Yes, I will pick up a Solitude. Emperor of Bones? No, Solitude. No, Emperor of Bones. I want to take that out of graveyard so it can't Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Oh, there's a lot to think about in this matchup. Boots are happening. Note that spells are not currently colorless. Opponent says I think you got this one. GG. Crazy set. That's a recommended round for sure. And after chatting with my opponent a little bit about some of the lines in the game, I get the concession. They thought that me blinking Agatha's Soul Cauldron to get rid of this Goblin Welder was an incredibly heads-up play. And both of us agreed that we don't think that I am beating that in the long term. GG's, incredible match. All right, final round here. One basic planes is not gonna do it. Let's mulligan that. Opponent is excited to be on a video. I think I keep this one. We're a little far away from you, but I don't know that I need a Solitude in this hand. Opponent is going to 5. So, I believe that this is worth 3 life to me. Yeah, it's really weird. My opponent is more likely to be a combo deck after mulliganing to 5, but if they are a fair deck on 5, then swordsing their initial mana dork or whatever, and then following it up with Overlord into Oculus is like chef's kiss levels of good. I think that's worth it. And then sometimes it looks dumb when my opponent just wastelands me or whatever. Dark Depths. Okay, Solitude would be cool. I think I just always need to Overlord. I am thinking about whether or not I'm doing this off of Polluted Delta. I would have to get like Scrubland. This is 4 cards to graveyard, maybe 3 cards to graveyard. I don't think I'm playing this immediately next turn. I also don't know that I'm tapping out. Let us impend. Yeah, I'll use that ability. Oh no. Wait, hold on. So in this exact scenario where I miss on a creature, if I draw a fetch land next turn, I will be short of playing this immediately. Again, though, I don't really think I want to tap out immediately. Ooh, that's very good value. God damn it. Yeah, it's fine. Saga goes up. Oseiju. Sorcery speed cast once upon a time. What is the rationale there? Not giving me another look at a counterspell? Wasteland. Sure. Fetch. I want to overload on white mana here. A new Overlord. It looks at Solitude. I have double swords, though. Brainstorm. I think I'll just play the Oculus. It flies. And I'm not going to fetch yet. We're at 2 counters left for Overlord. I get to start manifesting Dread. Phelia? Solitude as a lifelinker? Probably just Phelia. I think I don't flinch with Flooded Strand here. I was just going to float their mana. It is Mox Diamond, Exploration, Maze of Ith, Wasteland. Wasteland my Underground Sea, that's fine. That's not actually the color that I care about. They're now a Life from the Loam. No. Oh, so my opponent discarded Dark Depths. So I can cancel this out. I don't have another Surveil land. I'm fine casting Brainstorm. I just kind of have things covered. I just sort of like to hit my next land drop. Negative. Well, no, I hit the land drop. I'm just not overly excited about these cards. What about Thoughtseize? I just kind of want to have land, sword, sword available. But land, Thoughtseize, sword might just be better. Sure. So let's take a peek. I sort of thought that might be happening. The opponent has something weird to think about. Okay, it's a second crop rotation. Oh no, it's Dark Depths in hand. Got it. This is fine. So, bam. Phelia becomes a Duder. Go to Punchy O'Clock. Send him. Phelia blinks Overlord. Overlord is going to return Solitude in just a second. Yeah, you can maze that. That's fine. 18. End of turn trigger. What's on top of my library? I literally don't remember. It's not a creature. Grab a Scrub. That's an open white source that is also a secondary black source. Solitude. Hello, more other Phelia. I don't like super want to give my opponent 20 life, but it kind of feels like it's happening. Sure. Go to combat. Send in everybody. Phelia trigger. We're just going to target the Mox Diamond. Yes. Um, this is a white card. I shouldn't need Double Swords and Solitude, but I sure don't need Emperor of Bones right now. Opponent floats a mana and does the thing. Producing a 20/20. That's fine. Now, my opponent does not potentially have anything available to save this. I could play around Not of This World, which is kind of a crazy person thing to do, but I'm going to do it. Now I can cast another thing where I can't if I hard cast. Opponent's at 28. This life is going to go quickly. My opponent's Mox Diamond goes directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Basic Plains, you've been promoted to a land. Welcome to the team, bud. And that's the point where my opponent concedes. Our white removal here is very strong. What was my opponent's reasoning for crop rotating for the Yavimaya? I guess they already had Dark Depths in hand. I feel like there was something weird on the other side of the battlefield. I don't think it was that. I don't hate Meddling Mage. Legolas's quick reflexes is kind of a beating. I would kind of like to stop that. Pest control for Urza Saga tokens is a thing that I can consider saying no to consign. White removal is very good. I am not sure how much I need discard specifically. It misses a lot of stuff. I'm also not sure how much I need Force of Will, but the ability to say no to crop rotations is kind of nice. I don't know my opponent's exact build. I didn't see things like Elvish Reclaimer that Pest Control could clear out. I think there's a good chance that they're there. I'm going to guess that Thoughtseize on the draw is pretty mid. Let's get some Pest Controls in there. I am not impressed by Force of Negation. Miser's Thoughtseize. Oh no. This does not have appropriate mana. We'll mulligan this one. This is a little short of where I would like to be, but we might, for the first time, assemble this engine of Phelia plus Ketramose. Yavimaya. I don't know that I like that sequencing. You don't need to play around days there or anything. Exploration is acceptable. Urza Saga is great. Yes. And I know about that. My opponent has 2 cards left. That's pretty reasonable. This Finding Wasteland on my Tundra is a nuisance. I probably just need to look for land with this. Those aren't lands. That's not land. So if my opponent has the Soul Read and just Expedition maps for Wasteland, it is a major pain. Maybe I need Force of Negation specifically for potential life from the Looms. That's Wasteland. I pondered to try to hedge against that, but was not successful. It does mean that my opponent is not currently beating me to death with Urza Saga construct tokens. Who shit. Oh, that's bad. Oh, they did it untapped. Oh, it's Life from the Loam. That's bad news for me. Okay. Reg, Thespian Stage, Sajiri. Urza Saga Recursion probably ends up beating me here. We're going for the boots. When I play a Pest Control, I'm going to take out the boots and the construct tokens and the explorations. I'm going to get a lot of value all at the same time. But the short term here is real annoying. Oh, opponent forgot to equip their boots. I will take that. Okay. I mean, it's possible this was a crop rotation intentionally being held up. Boop. Now my opponent gets 1 land per turn cycle. We are dredging. There's Dark Depths. So my opponent has both Dark Depths and Thespian Stage available to them. That's not great for me. Also, Thespian Stage Urza Saga is annoying too. I think I am playing Phelia at my opponent's end step and trying to set up Phelia, Overlord, Solitude as my own unfair thing to be doing. Yeah. You may make your token. So now my opponent has a Thespian Stage Urza Saga. And once it gains the ability to make tokens, my opponent will then transform it into another land and keep that ability. Tutor? Mox Diamond turns these into 3/3s and helps my opponent a little bit on the mana front. Oh, no. I messed up. My opponent has Caracas. I really need them to tap that Caracas. It's such a big deal. Yes. I'm going to take this hit. 16. Tap your Caracas. Oh. Maybe they miss it. I am willing to hope that they do. That's a land. It's not great right now. I am going to play in the way that is most optimal for me if my opponent misses Phelia. They did not miss it. An Oculus. I guess I should have used Solitude with the trigger on the stack to always return Solitude. That was dumb. I don't think I'm going to claw through this. I'm going to concede. So now I know that I want a couple of Force of Negations for Life from the Loam. I want Consign for Urza Saga. Do I actually want these Meddling Mages? Or do I just want generic Force of Will? I maybe don't actually want the Meddling Mages. Let's get some Thought Seizes in here. Wait, hold on. What did I bring in? Why are these numbers at 62? Did I just play too many cards last game? I just took out 3 Meddling Mages. I subbed Force of Wills for Force of Negations. I don't know. My brain's a potato. I'm on like hour 4 of recording with this deck. This deck is very fun, but cancel the plans for the second half of your day. 1 Thoughtseize feels super weird. I think I'm just going to increase my blue count for Force of Negation. The 1-lander is not going to do it for me here. This is very mid. I'm going to keep it, and I can make some choices about whether or not I'm going to do a Surveil land or whether or not I'm going to try and go Island, Plains, Swamp, not be wastelandable. My opponent is mulliganing as well. He will just drop a land and pass. That is an immediate Urza Saga. Yes. Phelia is not bad versus this sort of stuff. Yeah. But now I think I have to just play the game on basics, which is sort of unfortunate. I really don't want to. I am not unhappy about that. I have 1 of each basic question mark. Do I have 2 islands? No, I have 1 island. Okay, so let's go island and plains, and then if I don't draw a blue card, I will potentially need to make that land wastelandable. So that was another Life from the Loam. Now my Force of Negation isn't good enough. Yapamaya. So we're gonna grab island and plains. Going to 18 to do so. And we will loop Phelia into play and see what the draw step delivers here. Another land. Not super what I'm looking for. Second Life from the Loam is such daggers here. Alright. Don't you kill my dog. That is a Dismember. I think this is worth my Force of Negation to protect, since my opponent has 2 Life from the Loams anyway. Goodbye, Underground Sea. I mean, not goodbye immediately, but like, your days are numbered, bud. So send in with Phelia. Put some pressure on that Mox Diamond. Send in for 2. Now Phelia can hopefully just end up taking out Construct tokens. Opponent discards a Thespian Stage. So there's Dark Depths and Thespian Stage in graveyard. Yep. And Wasteland. F. So much better shape if they don't randomly mill the Light from the Loam. No Construct. Is a map. What are you interested in? Ghost Quarter would be a disaster. Is a Caracas. That's also very bad. Yes. I don't want more land. So now my Solitudes aren't castable. My Phelia is of minimal impact. Phelia is just a funny looking Rashadan port. Yep. Loam is a problem. End of turn Rashadan port. Pest control. Not super good right now. Go to combat. Yes. Am I cycling pest control? Yes. I'm so upset. I'm so incredibly upset. Donde está Brainstorm? This is what Brainstorm is for, right? Saga comes down. Not an immediate problem, but... Okay. Okay. So Thespian Stage Urza Saga is coming. I will play this end of turn Phelia. It's not doing anything. That does something, though. Are we hardcasting that? I think we are hardcasting that. I'm going to get my basic swamp, and then I'm going to get 2 wastelandable lands. I didn't need to fetch. Or I don't need to fetch twice. I can just use green for this other one. So I'll Overlord. Opponent bounces Phelia. Witch Enchanter or Oculus? Oculus starts going wide. Witch Enchanter temporarily answers some problems, but is very mana intensive. Let's get Oculus. And then hopefully I can just use a pile O Urza's Saga tokens. Sorry, a pile O Solitudes to hold off Urza's Saga tokens. And Dark Depths Thespian stage stuff also potentially becomes a problem. Oh, just floating the mana here. They might be going for a kill. They might just be attempting to get Lava Spur Boots and then go Dark Depths copy with Thespian stage, give haste, give me the middle finger. Life from the Loam. Oh yeah, this is an enchantment creature. Boy, I hate that. I don't need 2 swords right now. Maybe I need 2 swords right now. My opponent might just boop. More Urza Saga coming. Yeah, let's just not let that party get started. Force of Will, no blue card. Well, no real blue card to pair with it. Drop Oculus. I can technically cast a Phelia. It doesn't super matter. You know what? Ketramose is also a legendary creature. Just throwing that out there. Proper edition? No. Manifest Dread. Okay, though. Okay. All of a sudden, I feel pretty good about what's going on. It's not perfect, though. I might have needed to just let that Urza Saga token hit me. I wanted to kind of keep this in check. I was not expecting to high roll as high as I did. Are you a dude? I think you're a dude. Rather than trying to cast Phelia. So land, combat, send in for 10. Drop rotation. This is something like a Maze of Ith that my opponent can copy. Let's just say no. Let's just say no. I'm fine with you having the construct. I can chump block that indefinitely off of Oculus stuff. All right. We got Dread. Overlord. Technically Phelia. Oh, we have a real shot at grinding through this Life from the Loam. You have a friend. There is a Mox Diamond. These are 5/5s. They're big. Still okay? Still okay? Oh, they're both coming in. My opponent's dead. I transform the Overlord and I have lethal. And I don't need to Solitude anything to stay alive. That was a greedy attack. I get to punish that. Take 5. Phelia dies. So turn into Deuter. Black. Black. 1. 1. I guess I can leave blue. Yeah. Lethal. Wait, yeah. Yeah, no, so my opponent could have stayed alive for 1 more turn by holding a construct token back, and that threatens to trade with this, but then I just morph into a mid-range game where I, like, play a Solitude, get a Solitude back, and put them in a bad spot. Maybe they have to go for it. I don't know, maybe they can't expect this to be Overlord of the Balemurk. Okay. You know, that was probably north of 4 hours of recording, but we got our play points back. All right, it is dinner time for me, but before I do that, overall thoughts on the deck list. When this deck gets set up and starts doing its thing, it is absolutely cracked. And when it does not get set up and do its thing, I felt like I was just trying to claw my way towards a reasonable game of Magic. Oculus spirals quickly and is very strong. Overlord of the Balemurk, if you kind of cheat it in some capacity by doing something like blinking it with Phelia, is very cool. Solitude recursion via Overlord is cool. There is a lot to like here. However, I cannot imagine wanting to regularly play with this deck, and I mean that with every bit of love. Your leagues are going to be slow, and some of this slowness is me not, having played a ton with this specific deck. But this is not a deck that has the ability to steal easy, free wins. The fastest broken thing that you can do is turn 3, you end of opponent's turn 2 Phelia, turn 3 play Overlord, and create a large creature. But that sort of thing falls apart to your Fatal Pushes and Swords to Plowshares and whatnot. I think it's very interactable. We did not get Ketramose going very many times. It was exceptional when we did versus Painter. The lifelink was relevant, the Indestructible was relevant, the Menace was relevant, the card draw was relevant. This Soul Cauldron also did us some favors. So, do I think this deck is well built? Yes. Do I have the endurance and the desire to keep playing it repeatedly? No. No, I do not. But if you do, promo code ThrabenU will save you some money on some cards. I have a girlfriend waiting on me for dinner, so if you'll excuse me, I think we're having wings. Anyway, see ya!